There was a point where I noticed something weird. I couldn't just sit still anymore. Not because I didn't have time, but because every time I tried to relax, it felt slightly wrong. Like I should be doing something else. And even though I knew it's normal to take a break, that feeling didn't go away. It stayed there in the background. And if you know this feeling, this is where it gets interesting. Because this isn't really about productivity at all. It's about what you started linking it to. And you can see that in very small moments. You finally get some free time, sit down, and almost instantly there's that feeling again. Not super loud, but always there. Like you should be doing something else. You think about work, what you haven't done yet, and what would actually be useful right now. And even if you stay where you are, you're not really relaxed. Because some part of your mind is still trying to move forward. So instead of feeling rested, you just feel guilty. And after a while, every minute of your free time starts to feel uncomfortable. And honestly, it makes sense why you feel like that. Because you learned that your time matters. That if you want to build something, you can't just sit around doing nothing. That the people who move forward are the ones who stay focused and use their time well. And that's true. Being productive does move your life forward. It helps you make progress and gives you structure. So naturally, you start paying attention to how you spend your time. You start thinking more carefully about what you do and what you don't, because you want to do things right. But if productivity is supposed to improve your life, why does your free time start to feel worse? Why is it that the moments where you don't have to be productive are the ones that feel the most uncomfortable? You finally have time for yourself. You don't have to do anything. So why does it still feel like you're doing something wrong? The problem isn't that free time is bad. It's what free time started to mean to you. Because at some point, productivity stopped being something useful and slowly became something way bigger than that. It became the thing that makes you feel like you're doing life right. Like when you're working, improving and moving forward, you're allowed to feel okay. You feel like you're on track and like you're being who you're supposed to be. And at first, that doesn't sound wrong at all. But it also quietly changes how your mind sees everything else. Because now, doing something productive doesn't just feel helpful anymore, it feels like your value. And doing nothing doesn't feel neutral anymore, it feels like the absence of that. Like you're not moving, not progressing, and not being useful. And that's why your free time started to feel so uncomfortable. Not because resting is wrong, but because your mind started linking productivity to feeling okay. So the moment you stop being productive, it doesn't just feel like taking a break. It feels like you're losing something, like you're slipping, wasting your time, and should be proving your value somehow. And the weird part is, you can know logically that resting is normal, that it's healthy and often necessary. But that doesn't change that feeling, because this isn't really about logic anymore. It's about what your nervous system associates with safety. Productivity feels safe. Doing things feels safe. Progress feels safe. Because that's where your mind learned to find certainty. So when you're sometimes not doing anything, your brain doesn't experience that as peace. It experiences it as exposure, as uncertainty, and as I should be doing something more useful right now. And that's why free time feels bad. Not because free time is the problem, but because you've slowly trained yourself to only feel okay when you're being productive. So maybe the problem isn't that you can't relax. And it's not that there's something wrong with how you're spending your time. Maybe the problem is that you made productivity the only place where you feel okay. Because once that happens, everything else starts to feel off. Not because it is, but because it doesn't give you the same sense of control. And that's why free time feels uncomfortable. Not because you're doing something wrong, but because you're stepping outside of the one state where you've learned to feel safe. But that also means that this isn't something you fix by being more productive or finding the perfect balance. Because as long as your sense of value depends on what you do, you'll always come back to that feeling. So the shift isn't to stop being productive, it's to stop needing productivity to feel okay. Because those are two different things. The one is something you use to move your life forward. The other is something you rely on to feel like you're enough. And the moment you start separating those two, something changes. Free time doesn't feel like a threat anymore. It feels peaceful. Not something you have to justify or earn, but just another part of your life. And from that place, productivity doesn't disappear. You can still work, still improve, and still keep moving forward. But it's no longer the only time you feel okay. And that's where things start to feel different. Not because you're doing more, but because you're no longer depending on them.